If you need the best sleeves to protect your best decks, check out Sentry Sleeves using the link below. A pack of sleeves starts at only $10, and a portion of the proceeds goes to supporting local animal shelters. Use code EBAM5 to save 5% at checkout. Hello, everyone. That's Austin, and I'm Thomas, and this is Everyone's Bad at Magic, where we untap, upkeep, and punt. And today we're joined by our homie, Wayne, otherwise known as Boros Wayne. Would you mind introducing yourself and explain why people might care about your opinion on a certain fox that may be one of the coolest Boros decks in the format?
Hi, thanks for having me on, guys. My name is Boros Wayne. Well, yeah, that's what most people call me nowadays. I'm the editor for Bite Size Magic. I also play a good amount of cEDH, and I am also a big part of the BFF cEDH initiative down in LA. We run tournaments. We just recently ran one of the larger tournaments in Los Angeles recently, and we got another one coming up in November, but we'll talk about that later. As for the reason why you should listen to me, I think it's literally just hours in. I've been playing exactly, or more or less exactly this deck for about 2 years now. And not that I'm particularly good or particularly good at like picking things out, but I have learned a lot of mistakes over the years. And if nothing else, you should take the trial and error from me and skip like a couple months worth of heartache for yourself. I think that's just me.
I think Wayne's being a little bit humble right now. Didn't you just win a gold somewhat recently?
Yeah, in Temecula, the autism awareness one. So recently, all my locals have been called me the king of autism. So there's that. But yeah, we're very aware of it now. But yeah, we did okay there. We did all right there.
Awesome. And congratulations on your recent success with the list. And I heard from a mutual friend of ours that the Atrium was a huge success and that you all have been throwing some truly amazing tournaments. So thank you so much for having us and being such a force of good in the scene, Wayne.
Well,
Uh,
that's what you hope for. To just leave things better and make everything better as much as you can.
Amen. So we're going to jump into one of our favorite segments here, our Punter's Confessional. And forgive me, homies, for I have punted. Um, Wayne, I believe you said that you have a bit of a humdinger for us if you'd like to jump
Oh,
off.
bruh. Okay, so we were at TC Rockets. We were going towards the end of, I think, one of the rounds. It doesn't matter all that much. I find a window to win at flash speed on top of somebody else after all the interaction is gone. And I go to somebody goes to the Seiju something, and I go, okay. And I pick up my deck and start searching. And he goes, oh, wait, can I take that back? And I go, it's fine because I know either way I kind of have it like in the bag, right? And between the mix up there and between moving stuff around, by the time I put the deck down and put everything down, I realized, wait, where's my hand? And I realized I'd shuffled it into the deck. And I went, this was like months ago, and it still haunts me. It would have fully been a win, but we were at times. It was one of those things where it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm gonna call a judge and be like, no, I had these exact cards in my head. No, 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 no. It's just that's just a full lesson on me. And boy, howdy, do I just kind of like, I'm really big on like card logistics and playmat logistics and how you play and where you put your hands and getting I'm a martial artist, so like I really like getting repetition in my body. So like where I put my stuff and how I organize my playmat is a big one. So now whenever I search my deck, I put my hand like top right corner. It sits there. It doesn't move. I don't mix it with any of the other cards. But yeah, that was a really harsh way to learn that lesson because it would have been a really cool win too. But that I don't know how much more punty you can get from there.
That's so
I
brutal.
I
I've done that
applaud
too.
you and commend you for keeping your board so clean though after
Oh
that.
God. Oh man. It's
Okay,
just
Judge, what's the ruling? Like, what actually happens during a tournament if that happens? Like, what we do?
So we ask the table if we know of any cards that were in your hand and the amount. And then if we don't know any of the cards in your hand, but we do know the amount. Shuffle, and you'll draw three random cards. Say if you had three cards in your hand.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So yeah, we just
If your
drink the
opponents
L.
can tell you exactly what cards were in your hand, you can get those cards.
Okay.
If you don't know either of them,
Yeah.
I would have
It
to ask my head judge.
yeah. That was just. I mean, the good thing is that it was at the end of the round at time, like in overtime. So
Yeah.
we were going to draw anyways. So it was less like, all right, let's just make it clean. I'm not gonna make this a headache for anybody else. But yeah,
And when you say that you have clean board state mechanics, one of the things I picked up from you at MagicCon Vegas this past, or maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, depending on when this was filmed, um, was you actually keep a coin on your board that you flip over whenever you play a land each turn. And I
yeah.
really, really liked that. And I think it's something I want to incorporate on my play. So I
That's
know you have
genius.
clean board state mechanics.
Yeah, I mean it gets really really finicky. I actually learned that in casual because the amount of times where it's like, oh, did I play a land for turn, and then we have to stop the game for like 5 minutes while everybody figures out what land. Like, no. I just responsibility on your end. If I can't remember if it's down, it's down. Then that's just how it is.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal punt. Thank you so much for sharing it and helping us learn a lesson, Wayne.
Yeah,
I have my own punt this weekend, but it's not a specific situation so much as a repeated set of behaviors that I found in myself over the weekend as I was testing out a new deck. We here in Denver are just neck deep in the slot meta at the
oh
moment.
boy.
And I've been wanting to play decks that break parity from it. I tried going over the top with bottomless Derevi, which was working pretty well for me, but is absolutely useless in like Swiss type rounds because it loses to anything that's not trying to already play that game. So I wanted to try a deck that kind of avoids the stack. So I've been playing Kadama Thrasios. And I really enjoyed the deck. It's been a lot of fun. Like it attacks the meta at a different angle, but it doesn't have one of the colors I'm really used to playing, which is white. So I'm used to being able to like force windows open. So my window theory is kind of garbage, if I'm honest. So I kept pushing out Kadama when it wasn't my window. Like even if I knew there was a force of will in hand, it's like, just let me have it. It's fine. Like I'm not gonna push here. But I'm not having these conversations with people who I'm used to having these conversations with. It's like, I know you'll let me do this because I'll give you an upkeep. So I'm used to being able to push a creature through because my silence doesn't resolve or my GA doesn't resolve. They probably don't have it for another creature afterwards. If
Yeah,
you're just putting out your commander,
yeah.
it's pretty easy to just deal with that. And I don't know if it's better to just learn my lesson or to just put a Docin or Allosaur Shepherd in the deck. So I'm thinking the latter.
Oh man,
Alice
this
Shepherd's
this
good
brings
though.
it's a pretty good card. Yeah, this brings up a whole host of like questions in terms of like uh, humans are creatures of habit. So like, what's the difference between intuition and like what you're used to? All sorts of things. I won't get too deep because we have other puns that we want to hear. But like, yeah, no, exactly. It's like, do you play to your strengths or you shore up your weaknesses? A little bit of both. A little bit of AB. I don't know.
But regardless, I love the deck. I want to play more of it. I think I just need to make a 6 card swap to make it a little bit more mine. And I, as of now, I'm planning on putting in a silence and a silence effect and just keeping a better eye on the board state, making sure I'm countering those creature counter spells in a way that I have not been doing as much as I should. Because I'm not as much of a tournament grinder as many other players, even though I do play in the locals on a fairly regular basis, which our locals here are essentially just a silver or gold on a week, like bi-weekly basis or twice a week basis. There we go. All right,
Uh,
Austin, what you got for
bef-
us today?
so I kind of have a punt, but it's not a play punt. It's more of a mechanic standpoint of my understanding as a judge. um, Recently, I was preparing for Secrets of Strixhaven and reading Paradigm, Prepare, all that wonderful jazz. And I have come to the realization I hate Magic the Gathering's mechanics underneath the hood. Uh, the very fine distinction between a card and an object is very dumb. For those of you who don't know, when an ability says when you play or target card or when a card does something, it only triggers if it's a physical card.
Yeah.
So if your creature, like your bear cub, dies, that is a card going to the graveyard. Now, if you have a copy of bear cub that's a token, that is not a card going to the graveyard. That is an object. Cards like Bloodchief's Ascension, which triggers on cards, or Leyline of the Void, which triggers on cards, or sorry, replacement effect on cards.
Magic is complicated.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Broke my fundamental understanding of the game that I've loved for so long.
Yeah, I don't know. My usual refrain whenever I teach someone Magic is like, these are the base rules. Unless a card, there's an exception to every rule in Magic. There's a card that says this is the base rule, except this, and just ignore those for now. These are the base rules.
Yeah,
these are how the rules are, unless specified otherwise.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about teaching a friend is they have a rules engine built into the game, and that rules engine is you.
Yeah. Yep. Unless you're not good at rules, and that's a whole separate thing.
That's its own issues. In that case, go play some arena. Well, maybe not right now. We're pro-union here. Anyway, Wayne, we're here to talk about Zirda today. And before we do that, we want to get to know you just a little bit. Can you tell us a bit about how you got into Magic and what your journey looked like?
Oh boy. I started playing Magic in college for a little bit. We did Commander, well, middle school, then college. It's a whole separate thing. The real quick spark notes are essentially I was handed the Nahiri precon for mono. It's basically mono white equipment. And then at the time, my broke ass said, "Hey, if I just keep this and slowly upgrade a little bit by bit, like equipment into this deck, it can just get better and I can do it for real cheap." Was the line that I told myself. So I had just that deck for a very long time. We came back after post-COVID to start playing a little bit more. I got into the lore and found out Nahiri went Boros and followed her into Boros. Played about a year of casual, like just like 10 to 20 different Boros equipment decks. And then finally it was like, hey, I'm playing a lot of Magic. If I'm going to be playing this much Magic, I should probably do something with it. So we started looking to cEDH. Made a Raw Garden deck. That didn't work. Tried Winota for a little bit. Didn't like how linear the game plan was. And tried Nahiri as a cEDH commander, which is essentially equipment Winota. That worked for a game. And then kind of found Zirda through that circuitous pass. And ever since then, it's been a very slow, like learning what cards work and what doesn't work and what's good enough for cEDH and what's not good enough for cEDH. And just like, oh man, just a lot of like grinding and just letting go of a lot of pet cards, putting a lot of pet cards into a sideboard binder so I can look at them with a lot of sorrow. And but yeah, that's the short version of it, essentially.
So it sounds like you've always been into Commander since the very beginning. You never played any 60 card Magic?
When I was in middle school, I picked, like, there was two decks in front of me, like red pill, blue pill, and I picked the mono white Leonin Dengard, like Leonin Scimitar, Loxodon Warhammer white equipment. And that was like the most I played of any table, like lunch table, with the holes and everything in it, like unsleeved
Mhm.
magic. And then we just jumped into Commander in college. So yeah, it's pretty much always been Commander. Modern's cool. Hammer Time is really fun. Not viable, but super fun. I get to play with Pure Steel Paladin, so that's cool.
I actually lost to Hammer Time in a modern tournament playing Ruby Storm. So
Yeah. I mean, I have a modern deck. My friends I've started getting into a little bit modern, and I play Hammer Time against them, but I don't know. It's just not.
yeah,
I don't have enough time to play enough Magic. You know what I mean? So I have not been looking into other formats all that much.
Yeah, perfectly reasonable. I reason I ask is I personally love other formats as well as Commander, specifically because of how much it helps with fundamentals and
Mm,
sequencing and all of that stuff.
yes,
So
absolutely.
we've played a bunch of Commander. We moved into cEDH as part of our arms race, and we've stuck with white and Boros the whole time. Are you allergic to other colors, or um,
I mean, other colors are fine. I have played some other decks. I've brewed a couple other ones just with like different things inside of them. And I think it's just I'm a like one kick 1,000 times kind of person to go with the martial arts analogy, right? Like I think you really get into intricate. Even when I play video games, I would pick the sniper character, and then I would have like 4 to 5 times more hours on that sniper character by ratio than any other character, just because I like learning games through. I like learning how my stuff works and exploring the world from there and exploring the game from that perspective. Because I think you can get into some of the more deeper intricacies faster than bouncing around everywhere else. There is merit to trying other things. There is merit to like picking up other decks and learning how other people play and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about like yeah, I couldn't
no, no,
really
you're
tell you
you're
a
all
hundred
good.
percent.
I
I've
love
got
the
it's what I've gotten used to. So I like it a lot.
I love the
so
idea of getting your 10,000 hours in. So
Yeah,
so with
yeah.
your equipment journey from Nahiri to everything down, what landed you on a little different outside the box with the little fox boy Zirda?
So I got done playing Nahiri and realizing, yeah, this is probably still just too slow. It's too many steps. And I started looking at other commanders because it was either that or go back to Winota.
Hmm.
And I love Winota. Winota is actually really, really fun. It's really, really fun. I just at the time it did not seem viable because people were actually running creature removal. So I started looking at other lists, and I'd heard about Zirda and I looked into it. And then in one of the Zirda lists that I found, there was a Diviner's Wand. This is a 3-drop, 3 to equip equipment that gives a creature plus, you can activate it for 4. Yes, 4 to activate and draw a card and give the creature +1/+1 counter and flying. So it's an infinite mana outlet on an equipment. So I realized, oh, okay, cool. Maybe there's a version of this where I can make Zerda my equipment deck. So, because once you make infinite mana, when you think about it, you essentially have a Pure Steel Paladin because you can equip for free. Um,
The world's your
uh,
oyster.
yeah, yeah. So you can do whatever you want. So my first version of Zerda had 3 Swords of X and Y in it, had a Sunforger loop line in there, had Pure Steel Paladin because, why not? Dodo Helm, Stoneforge Mystic, Conqueror's Flail. Like there was a lot of really interesting tech that it had. But as the years have gone by, we've slowly started peeling them back and back and back. And with the way that power creep has happened in the game, stuff just doesn't like hold up anymore. So it's been a very sad, slow journey of letting that go. But we are still equipment will always be my first love. We have another brew of a deck that I'm gonna test out at some point after invitationals to see if I can do it that way. But like yeah, I definitely miss that stuff a lot.
That's so cool.
so
It's
I'm
really
just
good.
curious and feel free to like brush past this, but what came first, the aesthetic or the decks?
It was literally that first moment of like, oh, okay, if I just get better equipment, then I don't have to spend too much money on this on this game. It was literally I locked it like, hey, Nahiri's cool. I like equipment. I can do insane stuff. The first time that someone showed me like a magic combo sort of thing was Pure Steel Paladin plus Sure Strike Trident plus Colossus Hammer. So you can use it all your creatures as machine guns because you can equip everything for free, so you can shoot people in the face for like 12 to 20 per creature. And that blew my mind and has basically informed everything since, essentially. So I don't know. Like,
Oh, I meant your
ad nods is
personal
lame
aesthetic,
and
but I do
boring.
appreciate that the
Yeah.
explanation because
Yeah, I just
you
like
got
red.
cool
Red's a good
style.
color.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
red's a cool color, I like
all right,
it.
I do too. So you've been playing Zerda for a number of years now. If you were to tell a newer person who is either an entrenched cEDH player or newer to a format, and they are curious about playing something that's a little off meta but still fairly powerful, why choose Zerda?
So the advantages that Zerda has on any given meta is that it can be surprisingly pretty fast, but it can also be built to grind. The basic combo is very, very simple and can get out on essentially 4 mana. You can Grim Monolith Zerda, and that's infinite colorless mana. If you have an outlet, you can immediately just win from there as long as nobody stops you. So the actual like understanding the base level of the deck is really, really easy. And you can get like about 50% proficiency by just goldfishing over and over and over and over again and just understanding where the lines are. The really cool thing is once you get that down, the intricacies on how everything molds together and how everything mixes together can get very, very deep. And then you get into the conversation about window theory and how you build for meta and how you play against other people. So if you're looking for something that isn't just, hey, I found an Esper Sentinel that goes into a Ristic study and I hope I draw my deck, the right cards in my deck, and you don't like that playstyle and you'd rather be leading the pack and interacting and engaging with the game at a faster pace and a more interesting way, because we're not as fast as Rogsai, we're not as fast as Tali, but I think we have a little bit more options than they do. If you like artifacts, it's like 0.5 in artifact deck essentially. I always call like colorless is like my third color essentially in the deck. That I think Zerda is a pretty good deck for you. We can build it 1,000 different, like a bunch of different ways, and we have a bunch of people brewing it in several different ways. But yeah. Oh, and it can be fairly resilient and gets underneath the deck by design gets underneath Mindbreak, and like basically you just have to look out for Pact and Force a lot of the times. So you kind of have the windows for Zerda are a lot bigger than they are for like something like a Rogsai. Like there's from that turn 2 to turn 3 area, there's more windows than you think, and you only find that by jamming into them and finding out. But like Rogsai's very fragile, you know what I mean? A misstep and the whole thing falls apart. Zerda is a little bit more robust than that. So yeah, it's not as fast as the fastest one. It can be. It can spike randomly, but yeah, it can do some more interesting stuff.
I played against a surprising amount of Zerda at MagicCon. I
Yeah, I think I ran into like 3 other ones. It was really cool. It was like really awesome. And people that weren't on the Discord too, which is crazy. We have a Zerda Discord. If you want to know anything about this card or this deck, join the Zerda Discord. We'll talk your ear off about it like forever. But yeah, there was like 3 of them just randomly, right? I was like, oh, cool,
yeah,
interesting.
I
Let's see
played
it.
against you and two others.
Yes.
And I think I played a total of, I think, 9 games against Zerda over the weekend. And there was not a single one where Zerda did not push on turn 3 or earlier. It feels like it might be one of the most consistent turbo decks out there. Do you feel like that's an accurate assessment?
My issue is that I play the deck a lot. So when we say consistent, I'm just thinking about all the times I mulled a 4 and just went, I don't know, man. I think Atali is very consistent. I think Rogsai is super consistent. I think what we swap for like the black tutors and stuff like that, we have a little bit more of a brewer's advantage and also be um, a little bit, it's a little bit harder to interact with our stuff. Personally, I actually don't actually think it's more consistent than Rogsai in that way, or Atali in that way. What you trade off in consistency, you also get to have some unique attack angles on the meta, essentially, if that makes sense. I know that it feels like when we play against it that it can feel very consistent turn 2, turn 3 push, but I mean I've just played enough hands where I'm like, yep, this is a turn 2 tithe hand, and we'll see what happens. So like, sometimes you have to keep those.
I just remembered the fourth Zerda player who I played against over the weekend. And I know that your list is a little more turbo slanted, but we have a local player here in Denver who I think they're a little more turbo these days, but had traditionally played the list as a Stax deck. Is that something that you're still seeing as one of the primary builds, or has that more fallen out of favor these days?
So the irony is that I have been probably the biggest proponent of Zirda as a stacks list.
Yeah.
I loved stacks. Stacks are some. I mean, I came from Winota. I learned
Yeah.
the meta through that method. You know what I mean? So I was. I'm still kind of one of the few people in the Zirda because most people are going Turbo Zirda because it's just easier to understand and it feels better a lot of the times when you're first picking up the list. You do your thing and you try. Recently, I am down a few stacks pieces just because I didn't think meta wise, it's a meta call. We're essentially swapping out like some stacks pieces for more grind pieces to keep up ish with the Ragish Shy and the slop of it all. But yeah, I miss stacks. I love stacks. They're really, really fun. But yeah, that's the cool thing is the deck can be a lot of the decks. They're starting to homogenize a little bit, but we're still a lot of pilots where we're like 20-ish cards off of each other and just like still like test this card for me, please try it. I want to know what we're doing, and just being open to like different kinds of builds. But yeah, the cool thing about Zirda specifically with stacks, a stacks angle, is that you can run stacks that you break parity on really, really easily. And if you make most of your stacks artifacts, you can get rid of your own stacks pieces when they get in your way a little bit easier than some other people are. So you can drop like a turn 2 Aethersworn Canonist and still just win turn 3 anyways, which is really, really cool. I think that's the biggest problem with stacks decks is that they kind of have to try to slow everything down and then try to win turn 4, turn 5, and try to beat people down. We don't have to do that. We just stacks like the first 2 turns and then just do the exact same game plan. And I really like that angle about it. I just think right now, meta wise, it's not 100% where you want to be, and I'm really working on consistency with moles. So
Okay.
yeah.
When you say that you can get rid of your stacks pieces easier than other decks, are you talking about through effects like a fiddle bender, or is there something I'm missing in the deck?
Yeah, so like I think there's a couple cards that are like kind of like holy cows in a way, like grails, where it's like Oswald Fiddlebender, Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer. These are cards that like enable a lot of the game, and is basically where the deck kind of pivots off of a lot. So like everything being artifacts and being interactable with artifacts, even just like something like Grinding Station, if you're on breach lines, these can get rid of a Damping Sphere. These can get rid of an Aethersworn Canonist. These can get rid of like a Grafdigger's Cage if it's in your way. These so that enables a lot of places where people are like, oh, they can't push right now, and you're like, well, I'm gonna just do this and then do this, and like, oh, wait, crap, I tapped out. Whoops, yeah. So it's fun. It's like a very. I cite Magda a lot. I really like Magda as a deck. I really like how like synergistic everything is with each other, and it's also just an artifact deck, incidentally. So like I cite that deck a lot with how I want my deck to play, where everything coheses together, and it doesn't matter if like Grim's in the graveyard or something like that. There's another way to pivot out, and just getting creative with it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've gone over a couple of the positives about why people should start playing Zerda. What are I mean, you alluded to, you play the deck very often. You're looking at the fours that you ship and just like, well, guess we're not getting there this game. What are the general weaknesses of the deck that people might be looking for if they're sitting down into a pod against you?
The weaknesses for Zerda, I would say, is that it is like in the middle, if that makes sense. Like it's not as fast as the fastest decks, and it doesn't grind as well as like the grindier decks. So it's like a really strange middle child where you have to either pick your windows or pivot really, really early. So being able to like know and forecast how a game is going to go, and then figure out how you mull for that properly is very, very hard. So like if I want to develop, if I a lot of times it's like, all right, I got to land and I either develop an S% or I hold up the silence, and you have to make really hard decisions like that, like on a pretty regular basis. The way that I like to describe it is there's not a lot of breathing room to make mistakes with this deck. There's very specific pinpoints that people can like get you on if you tap out wrong or if you just miss sequence. Whereas a deck like Rogthras or like Blue Farm or like Rogish Eye, they have a lot of like, oh, I used my counter spell at the wrong time. that's okay. I've drawn 4 other cards that I can engage with on that one. You have most of the time I have a push and I have 1 red blast. You know what I mean? And I have to decide, do I push or do I use hold up the red blast for to force a draw? And like your decision making gets really you make less decisions and the decisions are more impactful and more important. And it can be very, sometimes I call it playing cEDH on hard mode, especially when I play some of these other decks and I'm like, guys, how do you lose on with this stuff? What's happening? Come on,
The
bros.
Kinnan effect.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, there's definitely. I mean, I've had to learn how to, in terms of weaknesses of the deck. A lot of times it's just like, oh, okay, I push, and then I'm at the mercy of your counterspell. Like, if you want to counter it, then you get to decide, and then I have to like essentially, please let me have something. I can't do anything, and I was like, all right, and then you have to like 1v1. Like that's like a really big weakness that is just I've started to learn that not like every deck, there's no deck that is perfect at everything. You know what I mean? Because you always have the grass is greener on the other side. Whenever I'm like, oh man, like I wish I was drawing 50 cards, and then you go to like a Jeskai pile, and you're like, I've drawn 50 cards. How can I not win? And you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I think that's the real big thing. It's just like finding unique ways to get card advantage, and also just being at the mercy of like everybody else's interaction when you don't have the volume or the resources. Yeah, the margins are very, very tight. So that's just how it is.
Yeah, that
So
makes perfect sense.
So when you go to sit down at a table, like at any tournament or just even for fun, what are your favorite decks to see across the table?
My favorite decks to see across the table. All right, so Dream Pod is Magda, Zuladoc, Arkham Dagsum. Because then I just mull for Monkey and I hit people with it over and over again. I get exactly what I need, or I can Mirage Mirror something else. Like that's Dream Pod. I love artifact decks. Artifact decks and me are like we're essentially half the same deck. So I have cards that like my friend calls it Luigi laddering. If you've ever played Super Smash Bros, where you go like Luigi one and then you up B and up B, just use Luigi ladder your way up, and it's really really fun. Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
Well,
Kidding.
my one of my partners, Rain, has a her pet deck is Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, and it's essentially an artifact deck. So whenever we play together and we're on these 2 decks, it becomes like this like I'm gonna land a Mirage Mirror and you're gonna land a Mirage Mirror and we're gonna stare at each other because we know exactly what we're trying to do, and it's really really fun. But yeah,
Spider-Man
it's a
meme.
little yeah exactly. It's like that. But
Somebody's gonna
yeah.
get an end stone. It's not gonna end well for anyone.
No, oh, bro, Endstone. I thought of Endstone for this deck too. I was like, there's so many things. Like, oh, I can build it so many different ways.
I love that card. It is a card I wish I could play in one of my decks. It's the reason I won't play Wheelie Out again, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there.
Oh, Wheeliod's terrifying. I have no idea why that deck doesn't. I mean, I guess it's just a commander, like being as much as it is, but like,
Yeah.
I'm terrified of Wheeliod personally.
I mean, 7 mana, get removed. What we
Yeah,
do.
get blood out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have blue counter spells. That's something, you know.
Yeah.
Blue gives you a lot of leeway in this format, and it really makes me sad.
You got some agency for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what about on the flip side? What do you hate to see?
Um, Sisse. Specifically,
Join the club.
no. It's very specifically because, it's basically a little biased. We have a very strong Sisse pilot in our meta, and we've played together way too much. And not that I hate to play against it. It's just it's a very good deck, and our Sisse pilot is very interactive. So I will push turn 2, turn 3. He'll have the answer, and then like there's nothing I can do about the inevitability of what's happening, and I can see it coming from a mile off. So I just have to wait another 30 minutes while everybody else like fumbles around. The scary things are like Atali, Blue Farm, just in general. Like control decks, like Rageshai are an interesting matchup. Because then it just becomes all right. I need to pivot to a flash speed plan and then try to find an interesting window or set up before they do. Rogthras is kind of annoying. It's interesting because like I said, I sped the deck up a little bit recently. So like the answer to a lot of these is just like, I hope I win before they do. And then I pivot to the grind plan if I don't. But like, for instance, like a really long time I was on Deafening Silence when we were in Turbo meta because like the pod is Rogsai, Atali, and like Yeva, and like yeah, I'm in 4th seat. What do I do? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
I'm back on
so
Deafening Silence. I love that card so much.
Deafening Silence is so good. Like legitimately, it makes me really, really happy. And I love being able to abuse that card. Yeah, it makes me sad. I wish my deck could be 110, to be honest. Like it'd just be so much easier, personally. Um, but yeah, so basically any deck that can go faster than you that you don't have answers for, although a lot of these fold to silence, but we don't have ways to find silence. You just kind of have to hope that you get it. And then any deck that can just crush you in like overwhelming advantage. Cabbage Merchant is also, I've been playing against the Cabbage Merchant a whole lot, and it's so sad to watch them use my pieces and my tech that I've been on forever and just be able to do it like probably better because they make just like buttloads more mana than I do on a regular basis. So,
I've
there's
never
that.
seen Cabbage Merchant in the command zone. That one's
Cabbage
Just
Merchant in the command zone is very real. Yeah,
interesting.
Sylvie just took down a tournament on Cabbage Merchant.
she did.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a video coming out about it at some point soon. Go check it out.
Yeah, you absolutely should. Shout out Bite Size, by the way. They've been crushing it. Amazing videos. Uh,
Appreciate it, Ben.
Wayne and Zach just had a conversation a few weeks ago to shut the F up in cEDH, which we were talking about before the show. I absolutely adored that video. So just giving that a little bit of a shout out where they talk about playing the jazz notes in cEDH, and it's about the words you don't say. Great conversation. If you get a chance, you should absolutely listen to it.
Yeah. To answer a previous question a little bit more too, is that like politicking, I've just learned how to politic on my deck. And like so anytime I pick up a deck with blue in it, like I'll like look at a force wheel, I'm like, the optimal play is to like politic like oh you can only do the but I just hate doing that personally. So that might be another reason why I don't really venture out too much. It's just like, no, I know like I got the politics on this pretty clean and I don't have to waste too much time on it. And I like that better.
Yeah. I mean, you always have the backup when, people are asking if you have something, you just point at your deck and say Boros.
I see. I personally don't like doing that because I feel like it's a little bit like because I have interaction. You know what I mean? I can't. I feel like I can't try to um put a name and try to prove that there is a viable Boros deck in cEDH, and then also still rely on like I can't interact, I can't hang at the table as an excuse. Like when I first started playing cEDH, I very much specifically was like I'm not going to pull that card because it feels counterproductive to the overall mission. Personally, is to if there's to get some respect on the colors in the format, I can't then just play into the disrespectful. Like, what am I going to do? I have a lot. There's a lot of interaction I have, so I just don't say it. Yeah.
Our homie Kevin does the opposite for Chatterfang. He'll point to a deck and say Golgari, and then after he wins, he won't play it for a few months so that people forget how good it is.
Forget about it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, calling you out, Kevin. We love you.
Yeah.
So speaking of how your deck wins, would you mind just running us through the basic play patterns of what you're looking for from the beginning to the end of the game?
Okay. I'm going to remember to do this right off the bat because we forgot to do this until like 30 minutes into explaining the deck last time. Walking Ballista. You kill people with Walking Ballista. It is the cleanest win con in the entire game, I think, and I love it, and it's hilarious. But yeah, basically you make infinite mana and then you find a way to either get Walking Ballista or you draw your deck and then cast a protected Walking Ballista line. That is 80% of the way that you win most of the time. You make infinite mana by either using Grim Monolith or Basalt Monolith with Zirda. Zirda discounts the untap by 2. So with Grim Monolith, you make 3, untap, float 1, and then do that. Or with Basalt Monolith, you make 3, untap for 1, floating 2, and you make infinite colorless mana that way. And then you have a myriad ways of converting infinite colorless mana into a win of some sort. And part of the reason what gives the deck the speed that it does is that I try my best to skip the step of filtering. Filtering comes at a premium and it takes a little bit of extra steps and costs you a little bit more. If you can just go off of pure colorless mana and win that way, you have a lot more interest. You cut like an extra step out of it, and that can mean the difference between a turn 2 push and a turn 3 push, which is massive in this format. So big proponents on that.
Awesome. And I kind of would like to get into some of your deck choices if you don't
Yeah,
mind
absolutely.
terribly.
100%.
Because
Talk about my hyperfixation. Oh no.
oh, what can we do? I'm just looking at some of your choices, and one of the things that just comes at me right off the rip is delivery Moogle, because I'm a huge believer in delivery Moogle in cEDH.
Yeah.
Uh, Shout out That's Good Card podcast. That was me. Uh, but I love that card here. So what are we getting with our delivery Moogle? Is it just our Grim Monolith, or is there other tech I'm not seeing?
So the irony with Delivery Mogul is the fact that when it first came out, I was kind of lukewarm on it, but the other Zerders were like really high on it. And this is kind of a thing that we go back and forth on. Try to see who can call what cards are going to be like kind of staples in decks as they're being for release. Delivery Mogul gets Grim Monolith. So the amount of we don't have black tutors, so the amount of tutors that can get me a monolith is like we just want as many of those as possible. Delivery Moogle also is finale text, so you can also recur a Grim Monolith if it gets countered, if it gets blah blah blah, whatever else sort of thing. But let's say the way that I look at the deck is I call it pre-aim and post-aim. Aim, AIM, stands for assume infinite mana. So once you've assumed infinite mana, their cards all read slightly differently. If you play Rowan, if you play Wheeliot, you kind of understand that now, once I've assumed infinite mana, I can ignore the gray thing and I just looking at pips. So Delivery Moogle gets me to infinite mana through a very roundabout way and a lot of mana, but sometimes you have that much mana. And then once I have infinite mana, this is just one white pip, go get a Walking Ballista. And you can just cast Walking Ballista off of it. There's a bunch of other stuff that you can go get in terms of like filtering, in terms of like cursed Moonsilver Key. You can also get all sorts of stuff. But yeah, the easy win line is that it gets Walking Ballista and you can just cast it. So just one white pip. Pretty good.
It's probably way too cute for this deck, but with Gyatso and Shuko, you can also pretty much get every other thing in your deck that you want to.
Oh, maybe I can put it in my equipment deck. I will think about this because Gyatso and Shuko is like I do this every 6 months or so. I try to make an equipment deck in cEDH and just like, is it time? Did it happen yet? They gave me Bureau Headmaster. Does it work yet? It is like, it's just too
It gets
slow.
closer and closer. It gets closer and
Every day.
closer.
Yeah, one of these days. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me on the next season. We'll see.
All right. Talk to me about Thran Spider.
cEDH staple Thran Spider is a infinite mana outlet. And it is just an artifact, and specifically it's an artifact creature. So the really cool thing is that people only run Pact, Force, Strix, maybe Disrupting Shoal, Mind Break, and that's about it. Flare of Denial, maybe. There's only like 4 or 5 cards that counter creatures. So just kind of like how Rogthras and Timna Dargo and all these people are taking advantage of the fact that people are low on creature counters. If my play pattern is turn 1 or 2 Grim, turn 2 Zirda Infinite Mana Outlet, that's a creature, Force to Will or Bust, Pact or Bust, like that's kind of like a really big important part of it, where the outlet being an artifact creature is huge. And then it puts all the artifacts into my hand at instant speed. So if I make infinite mana and this lands, I probably win because I can get flash enablers, I can get all sorts of stuff. It's one of my favorites. It doesn't come out of the list. There's a couple other outlets that kind of come in and out of the list. And the list is like basically always 2 to 3 flex spots that I'm testing at any given point, and just constantly morphing and trying to keep up with the meta. But yeah, Thran Spider has been a staple from the very beginning. I don't know. I like it. I like it that it can make instant speed wins as well, which I'm really big on. Enabling instant speed wins, I think, is super important in this meta.
Oh, 100%.
So talk to me about Avernus Totem.
Okay, so
this isn't infinite mana. This is a lot of mana. It's so disgusting, and I hate this card. But please go ahead.
I remember this card coming out.
Speaking of flex spots, this is one of the more recent flex spots. I was thinking about testing it out after the Indy, because essentially, like, would you pay 6 mana for somebody else's Smothering Tithe? Yeah. Would I pay 6 mana for somebody else's Risk Study? Yeah, probably. So I haven't actually tried it because I was trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff. But the last week or so, I've been testing the deck, and it's been in the deck, and we're trying it. I'm hoping to maybe take it to Quest if it performs. But yeah, I mean, Avarice Totem is just another infinite mana outlet. At one, it can get off of you can get it off of Urza Saga. You can then trade whatever you want, and as long as they don't have 5 mana to respond afterwards, you can basically shape the board how you'd like. Yeah, seems okay. Seems pretty good. And
So
also, it's like it's pre-aim, post-aim, right? Pre-infinite mana, it is 6 mana steal, the best thing on the board for at least a turn cycle. Or I can stop somebody's breach line if they don't have flash speed, because I can yoink their breach. Like it's not bad, right? Hopefully, I don't know. We're testing it. We'll see.
So I've actually had the wonderful pleasure of playing against this card in a Zirda list where somebody was able to make I think roughly around 20 mana on their turn through just taps and untaps. I think it was with keys.
Yeah.
And you can respond to the activation and put multiple activations on the stack so that you can end up with control of the Avarice Totem and control of your opponent's
Yeah.
permanents. So it is
And congratulations, you get my tapped mana bolt. Have a ping on your upkeep or on your draw step.
Just enjoy it. It is a brutal card to play under. So I don't know if it's good enough for this style of list, but it certainly can be in the Stax kind of version.
Yeah,
It's
we're gonna test it. Yeah,
pet card.
yeah. Well, I really like anything. Basically, the way into my heart and into my list essentially is if you sell me on it as a Stax piece. It's a mental Stax piece. I can hold up 5 mana and people just can't go for anything.
Yeah,
which is great. I love that. You know what I mean?
It's an activated ability. You don't have to cast anything.
No, yeah. Oh, I'm also really big on activated abilities. Like cEDH Magda, like those are like aspirational in the sense that like I don't want to fight Blue Farm on the stack. I don't want to fight Rogish on the stack. That sounds bad. I don't want to like Flusterstorm. That's like a whole world of counter spells I don't want to deal with. I just do welder activations and like play underneath there. That sounds way better. And this is another activated ability, you know? Oh, also, notably Zirda discounts it by 2. So when I have Zirda and Avarice Totem, it's only 3 mana.
Yeah. And
Plus
if
the
you
most
have a Candelabra Thanos on there, things get nuts.
Yeah.
So Wayne, those are the cards that really stood out to us. What are the cards that we might be missing that you think are special in this list that you'd like to highlight?
At the risk of blowing up my tech, but I think people have done it enough already for me. And also it's a Kinning card anyways. So Mirage Mirror is like very quickly becoming one of my favorite cards of like not of all time, but like when you get into cEDH, they tell you, don't worry, you'll still have pet cards. They'll just be different cards than what you came in with. And they were 100% right. My pet cards are like Magda and Mirage Mirror now, and it makes me super sad. But, you know, instead of like Sunforger and Hammer of Nizan. But yeah, Mirage Mirror is great. Mirage Mirror is pre-aim is a lot of like the best permanent on any board for a turn. And then post-aim is filter and outlet in a lot of different ways. You know, like when I goldfish, I just kind of like when I'm goldfishing and I see Mirage Mirror, that's essentially an outlet to me because if I get infinite mana and Mirage Mirror, then like even if there's not an outlet on board, I have a lot of agency that game, which I really like. And as what I really enjoy about cEDH and I really enjoy about this deck specifically is when you can cross the threshold to having not as much agency to having a good amount of agency, you can do some really interesting stuff and in a way that people aren't used to, which I really like. Mirage Mirror can become tithes. It can become it can be a tithe for one turn, so I can bank mana, and then I can become a Ristic Study, so I can draw cards. And the thing is, like, at the risk of like counter my Mirage Mirror, don't counter the Mirage Mirror. It's actually a much worse rate than like just an actual factual Ristic Study, which you guys don't counter in the first place, anyways. But it does give me a lot of, especially when I was on a bigger Stax variant, people would miss that like balance your Grafdigger's Cage. Cool. In response, I'll have my Mirage Mirror become my Grafdigger's Cage.
Mm-hmm. And you can have it become multiple permanents on the same turn by holding priority.
Yep. Full. Yep. 100%.
That wonderful Kinning tech.
Yeah.
But very cool. Anything else you want to highlight, or are we feeling pretty clean with it?
I mean, it's my deck, so like every card is like my favorite. Unironically, Staff of Completion is really good. Like it's not good enough to counter, but it is really, really good in the sense that it's like card draw and filtering in a lot of ways. And yeah, you can do some really interesting stuff. And Staff of Completion is one of those cards where like every single line of text is actually very usable in the list, even the proliferate ones. So yeah, those are some of my big ones. There's cards that are like obvious, like of course Grid Monolith is good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, but like those are the ones that are like you find joy in, like the utility bit players, the things that give you options and stuff.
Yeah, modal cards are awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're mulliganing or if you are gold fishing, what's a serviceable six to you? Like what are we looking for if it's not like a perfect hand, but it's like this is what I'd be happy with going into a tournament.
So my mulligan process is if I keep first and second seven, essentially I need to see a line to win by turn three, or else it probably isn't good enough. Once I get into six and five is when I start being like, okay, I'll keep like it jumps like drastically. Nope, nope. And then like the same hand on from six to seven, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll keep like a turn one Archivist hand. You know what I mean? And like draw into like stuff. That's fine, whatever. Like even turn two tithe doesn't feel fast enough a lot of the time now. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool, I turn two tithe, then I get a treasure, and then I lose. I've been trying to cut one ring forever but like I don't know, there's just too many synergies to like take it out. I definitely have been trying to cut it for a hot minute. But yeah, basically the mulligan guide is: do I see a path to winning? No, then ship it. And then if you start getting into six to five, then you can start accepting. I call them draw card hands or hope hands, cope hands, where it's just like turn one Esper, maybe we'll see. Because you don't have force of will. You don't have the I draw force of will and I can have some agency in the game. You know what I mean? You don't have that backup.
Yeah,
A lot of the time. So I find when other people play my deck and they don't have it's like different mentalities. Like they're just like, oh yeah, this is like a seven. This is like mana and Esper Sentinel. It's like, yeah, but this is like not even a push until turn four. Not good. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that answers the question, but
no,
yeah,
that answers the question perfectly. We're not
great.
looking for sitting and being reactive. We're trying to be proactive
Yeah.
on our first sevens at the very least, and then we can get a little bit more into the quote unquote mid range issue hands if we go down to like a five.
Yeah, exactly, right. I've really been trying my best to tune the deck to do powerful things. I think that's the really interesting part about our format is we're getting faster and faster. And I remember, I don't know how long you guys have been playing cEDH, but I remember the days where you're like, oh, we probably make it to turn two or turn three, like on a pretty regular basis. I could keep Archivist hands like and be like, yeah, this should be okay. Like maybe we're like, even if a Rog size at the table, maybe it's a little bit more risky. And that's just a function of like I can count on blue form to have a counterspell, and nowadays you can't really at all. Like the way that I think I heard. I'm sorry if this is the wrong person, but I think Shauna or somebody. I always listen to a podcast and they were like, if I keep a hand that assumes that I'm making it to turn two or turn three, I have to have a reason in that hand why I get there. Whether or not it's a mental misstep, whether or not it's for me like a Grafdigger's Cage or a Vexing Bobble or something like that. I can't assume I reach turn two. And without a reason to, right? And also that doesn't mean necessarily just losing on turn two, but just like effectively have lost on turn two because Kinnan has ramped out like to turn five by the time it's turn three. You know what I mean? So I've been up a couple rituals. I've been up basically ways to make this deck essentially do turn two, if not win, then doing something powerful like a one ring or something like that and like holding up interaction.
Yeah, there's no dork pass
Yeah.
anymore. Like
Yeah.
turn three is a privilege and you have to earn your way there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'd be very happy if we get back to a place where maybe the slot meta happens enough where people like assume people have like force will in hand and people are playing more responsible. But until then, I'd rather have my proactive game plan. Like in general, I always have a proactive game plan because that's the thing. Even with the Stax pieces are proactive game plans because they are fodder for like the rest of my deck as well if I really need to, and they get me to places, right? So that's what I liked about the Stax pieces.
Yeah, it's a whole nother conversation, but it's so interesting how different regions metas are
True.
because
Yeah.
out here we're just starting to get to a point where people are trying to out turbo the slop again, and that's the circle.
Yeah.
That we've hit that apex.
Yeah. And especially with like the advent of the internet, information getting out faster, and people understanding leading the curve a little bit. Now I think that cycle is going to go faster and faster and faster, where we're going to kind of like maybe we'll get to a point where it's just general meta again, which would be kind of interesting, and you just have to kind of be prepared for everything,
Yeah.
which would be like I'm kind of cool with that, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I am also, again, 2 to 3 flex spots constantly to see like what's necessary, deafening sounds in or out. How much rock slide am I seeing?
That rock, paper, scissors is the best. And we had that
Yeah.
for a few months, and I'm hoping we can get back to that.
Yeah. Instead of it just being this like seesaw back and forth. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So if WotC was listening in a perfect world and you can design your perfect card for Zirda, that's not too broken, obviously, but
Oh shit, not too broken. Fuck, I had an answer. Sorry, I swore, but yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's late in the episode.
what would your perfect card be?
I would like, and I have kind of started building my deck in a way to kind of try to follow design trends as well to future proof the deck a little bit. So I've noticed that Watsky is building a little bit more treasure stuff into red and white. So like Knuckles, Tater Tot, Taro. So building my deck to take advantage of that. Also with Smothering Tithe, obviously, is like huge. So like something like that would be kind of interesting. Artifact Tutor, just another artifact tutor, like literally any artifact tutor would be great. Or like for instance, they just did that Gifts Ungiven for legendaries in white. Maybe something like that in red would be kind of cool. Yeah, like that's the we have. I personally don't like getting too deep into this conversation because the Zirda Discord will do this sometimes where they'll be like, oh, if only we just had like X, if only Watsky made like Soul Ring, but it also has Grim Monolith text on it. I'm like, guys, I personally just like going with whatever Blasky shows us and like try to brew around that because I think you get too deep into the weeds of like my joke is always like, yeah, I'd like a spell that's 1 white, instant speed says I win the game and I split seconds on it. Yeah, can I get that? You know what I mean? uh, but to actually answer the question, yeah, like more artifact tutors is great. More graveyard recursion, more treasure synergies. Some sort of scaling treasure synergy would be really cool. Or a stacks piece that effectively stops people from drawing cards. That would be really cool. I like that. Like a Spirit of the Labyrinth that doesn't suck. Hull Breacher color shifted red. Can I get that?
I'd love to see Hull Breacher back, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know
like,
about
don't
the
give it a
color
blue.
shift.
Blue has too many things. Just red. Oh, a treasure nabber that's actually good because I love the idea of treasure nabber. Treasure nabber on 2.
Treasure Nabber's
Treasure
cool.
nabber on 2 mana. That's it. That's all I
I
need.
love Treasure Nabber.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sick.
Do you guys have the hookup? You got Barry's like ear? Can we make that happen?
I mean,
Let's see what we can do.
there's like enough people who know enough people. I'm sure we have like the
Yeah.
chain there. Um,
I'll do my little rant here. That Magic inherently is a blue planeswalkers game. Like all the game designers are bloody blue planeswalkers because if Magic worked in a red format, I would be able to say my card fast enough, and if it hit the board, then you can do anything about it. So like, you know what I mean? Like the game inherently favors blue. I can hold priority and think for 5 minutes about this counterspell. That's just a blue thing, and like that's just unfortunately the world we live in right now. So
I
The
agree
most
with you, but
powerful
I
card
think
in
it's a good
Magic.
thing. I
yeah,
think your most powerful answers have to be able to meet your most powerful threats, or else you don't have a
yes,
balanced game.
yeah,
But
I agree. Absolutely.
I
each to their
stand
own.
by that the most powerful card in Magic is the basic island.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. These terrorists of the format. Blue is actually kind of a cool color outside of the card draw and the counter spells. Like Urza is cool, Sewer Cam is cool. Like, but just like fierce blah.
Mm,
Yeah, there's a lot of just generic
yeah.
design space there.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost halfway through the year, and our homies over at MTG Basics put this idea in my head, and I can't get out of there. What do you have left on your Magic Bingo card for 2026 that you think is could happen or you'd like to see happen?
My this year my goal was to do well and do better at 100 plus tournament. I've never actually top 16 a plat before, and that's something that I've been working on and chasing. The other big goals are making BFF, cEDH, and growing the LA cEDH community as much as possible. I think we have a really good scene here. It's just there hasn't been like just through like venue fees and like it's expensive to live in LA. It's just been hard and the will hasn't been there, but like we've been doing hopefully good work there and growing that. And this season we're hoping to make it to the invitationals. Um, Last season, it's a bit of a long story, so I will make it really, really quick. But I had a very traumatic last season where basically up until the very last day, I was supposed to go to the invitationals, and then through some situations, got a bunch of points got deducted, and I was no longer in the invitational. So I have a very complicated relationship of the leaderboard. This season, I was trying to tell myself I wasn't going to worry about it. I was just going to worry about this building the scene. And we did well enough that like now we're in contention again, and I kind of hate it. Not gonna lie, I kind of wish that it wasn't that the case. But if I can take Zirda to the Invitational, and just playing Zirda, that's a big goal for this season. And then maybe next season I can actually not care. That'd be nice.
Well, we'll be rooting for you. And maybe we'll see you at the siege. Um,
The siege, I'm not gonna be able to make it to, unfortunately. There's too much traveling happening recently, but I mean, good luck on that one. It's gonna be a great event. I'm just with everybody involved, I know it's gonna be a great event.
Fair enough. I don't think either of us are playing. I don't know if it's going to be spoiled by the time this episode's out, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But Austin's judging. Um, but we'll be there. Anyway, Wayne, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been so much fun, and I love talking to you. And thank you for just gushing about this really cool deck. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to shout out or give a spotlight to?
Oh boy. I mean, thanks for having me on. Definitely am happy to come back on and just chat. Where the problem with when I get pulled on for Zerda is I feel like I take up most of the air. It's a little uncomfortable for me. So hopefully we can just hang out as cEDH players and talk more broad stroke stuff. Plugs are BFF cEDH. We are running tournaments. We have a big one coming up probably in November, and we're running a couple golds in LA. So if you're in the LA area, I know your audience might not be quite there, but come a shout out to them. Bite Size Magic, or Bite Size MTG. Me and Zach are working on making that channel as best we can. And other than that, and if you want to play Zerda, if you have more questions about Zerda, then you can come visit the Zerda Discord. We call it the Den. I can send links if things can be places.
They will
And
be in
yeah,
the
just
show
come on.
notes for sure.
Yeah. Come and feel free to, if you can go through the backlog of that server and just watch the insane like evolution of the deck. We do our best to make it as friendly and as open of a space as possible, because this is kind of a niche deck, and it is kind of like you kind of have to be a little bit wonky to like one want to play it, but then two also do well with it, because you need to like find interesting stuff. So we're very like, please bring your ideas, please bring your suggestions. We've probably tried a lot of them, but we want to hear like Avarice Totem. Please tell me about the next Avarice Totem. Somebody,
Heck yeah.
that sort of thing.
Well, thank you so much, Wayne. And if you at home have stayed with us this long, please consider giving this episode a like, follow, and subscribe, or comment depending on how you found us. Check out our Discord and socials in the link below. You'll also find the Zerda Discord, as well as the link to Wayne's deck, question mark, if we're cool
Yeah,
with that.
I can put all those things. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And if you're interested in one of our playmats, we do have them available featuring this sick logo from Fox Tattoos over to my right. And yeah, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. It's just a game.
Please and thank you.